This video is about two types of animal tissues, epithelial tissues and nerve cells. Explain the following types of cells and tissues. So for animal tissues, we are going to learn four types of epithelial cells, which is simple squamous epithelium, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, stratified squamous. While nerve cell, we are going to focus on motor neuron. So epithelial tissue, generally all the epithelial tissues are attached on a thin basement membrane. So this is the structure of the basement membrane, and the free surface on top it is exposed to air or fluid. So for epithelial tissue, they do not have blood vessels. General location of epithelial tissues, they can be found on the surface of the body, example skin, or inner surface of the body, hollow organs, glands and ducts within the body. So general function of epithelial tissue, they can protect the body, or they secrete something, or they absorb something, or they excrete something, or diffusion and sensory reception. They also act as a barrier against mechanical injury, invading microbes and also fluid loss. So we have four different kinds of epithelial tissue. So we can classify epithelial tissue based on two aspects. First is based on the cell shape. So we have three different shapes of epithelial tissue, which is squamous shape, cuboidal shape, and columnar shape. Second aspect is arrangement of cell into one or more layers. So if they only has one layer on top of the basement membrane, you call it simple epithelium. If they have many layers, you call it stratified epithelium. So for squamous, the shape is flat. Okay, simple squamous epithelium. While when they have many layers and the shape is flat, you call it stratified squamous epithelium. So for cuboidal epithelium, the shape is in the cube, while columnar, the shape is long. Okay, so the four types of epithelium tissue. For the first one, simple squamous epithelial tissue. So this diagram is from the top view of the epithelium. So it has only single layer of cells attached to the basement membrane. Okay, only one layer. That's why it is known as simple. And the cells are flattened and thin with the central nucleus. So the nucleus is located in the center. So when we view from the surface, from the top view, they are polygonal shapes, means they have many sides. So the function of simple squamous epithelium is diffusion of material and exchange of gases across the membrane, because the layer of the simple squamous epithelium is thin. So it is easier for the diffusion of material and exchange of gases to occur. So it can be found in the lining of the blood vessel, lining of the lymphatic vessel, which exchange of the material occurs, and the lining of the alveoli of the lungs, where the exchange of gases occur. So from the side view, it is thin and flattened layer where the nucleus located in the center, while from the top view, we can see a polygonal shape. Okay, the nucleus also located in the center. So the bottom part is called the basement membrane. Second is simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. So this is a cross-section of simple cuboidal epithelial tissue, where we can see the epithelial tissue is in the cube shape. So it has single layer of cuboidal shaped cells and have central spherical nucleus. So the nucleus is still located in the center, and the bottom part is the basement membrane, and the cell is cube shaped and has only one layer. So function of this epithelium tissue is secretion and absorption. So it can be found in the lining of salivary glands where secretion occur, pancreatic duct, thyroid gland, proximal and distal convoluted tubule, which can be found in the kidney. Okay, so for this, the process of absorption occur, or secretion also. Okay, so for simple cuboidal epithelium, this is from the side view, where the free surface exposed to the air and the fluid, and the basement membrane at the bottom. Okay, third type, simple columnar epithelial tissue. So the cell is more elongated and the basement membrane attached at the bottom. So the structure is columnar shape, and the nucleus now is no longer spherical but it is oval near to the basal end. Apical surface means the free surface, they have cilia or microvilli. So the cells are usually associated with the goblet cell. Goblet cell is the modified columnar cell that will secrete the mucus. So the function of the mucus is a lubricant for the lining of the digestive and upper respiratory tracts. Okay, so this is the structure of the goblet cell. The shape is like a goblet. Okay, and columnar shape of the cell and the basal end. So the nucleus is oval shaped and near to the basal end. So some cells, they have the cilia. Okay, and they usually secrete the mucus from the goblet cell as a lubricant. So the functions of the simple columnar epithelial tissue is act as a protection, which is a barrier between outer world and our body. Simple columnar epithelial with cilia, they can move the mucus and other substance by ciliary action. Absorption, simple columnar epithelial with the microvilli. Microvilli is to increase the surface area for the absorption to occur. Secretion, where the secretion of mucus occur in the goblet cell. So they can be found in the lining of digestive tract, small intestine, upper respiratory tract, and also oviduct. Okay, so these are the cilia that can be found on the free surface. And this is the goblet cell that produce the mucus here. Okay, the mucus. So you can see the nucleus, oval shape, near to the basal end. So this is the part of the basement membrane. Okay, stratified squamous epithelial tissue, as we can see from this diagram, they have many layers. So that's why it is known as stratified. So it's made up of many layers, several layers of the cells. So the shape, they might be cuboidal shape, they might be columnar shape. But why we call it as a stratified squamous? Because the superficial layer is squamous shape. So for this, okay, the topmost layer here is squamous shape. So you call it as a stratified squamous epithelial tissue. Okay, so only the cell at the deepest layer attach on the basement membrane. Okay, so it say here, named according to the features of their uppermost layer. So when the uppermost layer is squamous shape, so you call it stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, so this is the squamous shape. So the rest of it, it might be columnar shape, it might be cuboidal shape. Okay, so the new cells are cuboidal in shape. The new cells is located near to the basement membrane, but they will become flattened to form the squamous epithelium at the surface. So the new cell will be pushed outward, replacing the cells that are sloughed off. So the topmost layer usually will be sloughed off frequently. So the new cell will be pushed outward or upward to replace the old cell. So function to resist the abrasion and act as a barrier to prevent the water loss through the skin. So it can be found on the lining of esophagus, lining of outer skin, the skin which usually has the old cell always been sloughed off, vagina, anus, and the mouth. So these areas are those areas which always might have the injured to the skin occur. So it usually will be scraped off or dragged along the hard surface or rubbing. Okay, so these are the conclusion of all the epithelial tissue that we have learned. Second kind of animal tissue, nerve. Okay, for the nerve tissue, nervous tissue, it is usually conduct the electrical impulse, which allow communication among other tissue types. So the functional unit of the nervous tissue, the nerve cell, we call it neuron. So neuron usually contains three main parts, which is cell body, dendrites, and axon. So the cell body usually has one nucleus in the center, and it follows by axon. So for the axon, it might be myelinated or unmyelinated. So for this diagram, it is myelinated axon, which has the myelin sheath which surround our axon. Okay, and in between the myelin sheath, you call it nodes of Ranvier. And the third part is the dendrites. So the dendrite is the branch portion of this neuron. Okay, dendrite. So neuron also consists the neuroglia cell. Neuroglia cell which provide the support to our neurons. It will provide the nutrients for the neuron, hold them in the place, and destroy any pathogens or remove the dead neuron. So example of the neuroglia cells such as Schwann cell, astrocyte, microglia, oligodendrocytes, and so on. So these are the neuroglia which provide the support to our neuron. So the myelin sheath produced by the neuroglia cell, which is our Schwann cell. Okay, so function as the electrical insulation. So electrical insulation means they are not going to transmit any electrical impulse. Therefore, the speed of transmission will be speeded up by the nodes of Ranvier. So the electrical impulse will just jump across the nodes of Ranvier. So it is faster. Okay, transmission of impulse is faster because the myelin sheath is electrical insulated. So the impulse is not going to transmit along this area. Okay, so we can classify neurons based on their function and based on the direction where they transmit the impulse and based on the position where they occupy in the nervous system. So we have three types of neuron. Afferent neuron, also known as sensory neuron, efferent neuron, also known as motor neuron, and also intermediary or interneuron. Okay, so for the efferent or motor neuron, it consists of cell body, dendrite, and also axon. So it can be found in the brain and spinal cord. The function is to conduct impulse out of the central nervous system toward our muscle and the glands, which is known as effector. So it is known as efferent neuron. Okay, so these are the structure of motor neuron, which consists of one cell body where the nucleus is located in the center, and the axon, which has been covered by myelin sheath. Okay, not necessarily all covered by myelin sheath, and the dendrites.